Before the beginning of the game, make sure that these items are prepared. Challenge boards, character name tags, sector cards, resource cards, in-game and post-game handouts. You need to split the players into 6 groups, each representing a different sector, with at least 2 players in each sector. Set on each sector table the matching colored character name tags according to the number of players you are expecting.
Embark on an adventure that raises interesting and surprising questions about disasters and resilience.
This game takes place in the hypothetical place called Rock City. The facilitator should briefly explain to the players about the city, and then emphasize the importance of investing and preparing short and long-term resources for disaster resilience. Once done, guide players to the following steps. Have the players write their name on the character name tag and think about the character they need to play according to the role written on their name tag. Give them time to introduce themselves at the table. For this, encourage players to read the description on the sector cards. Players should select the resources they will invest in to better prepare for future disasters. Among 24 resource cards distributed to each table, players should decide on 12 cards to keep and 12 to discard. They should discuss with the group members about how to make the optimal choice for the best interest of their sector. Once the players decide on the 12 cards to keep, have them distribute the cards freely among the players in the group. After the players are done distributing the resource cards, proceed to the next step. Play the sound effect as indicated in the facilitator's note to create the atmosphere of an earthquake situation. As soon as the sound is played, demonstrate and lead the players to follow through the safety steps to protect themselves during the earthquake. This announces the moment to test whether the players are well prepared for the disaster. Flip over the challenge boards that were faced backwards from the beginning. Ask players to each find the table with the corresponding neighborhood's challenge board. The neighborhood information is indicated at the bottom of their character name card and the upper left corner of the challenge boards. As during a disaster, options are limited due to lack of resources and time. Each neighborhood must choose and try to fill either option A or option B with the resource cards brought in by the players. Once the players have done their best filling in the challenge board with the available resources in the group, they can now proceed in activating coalition by interacting with other neighborhoods to give or trade the resources they need. During this process, the players will either take on a collaborative or competitive approach. Take note of their interaction as it will be brought up during the recovery phase. During this phase, facilitator can choose to issue surprise challenges such as fire, emergency aid, chasm, and train derailment to make the situation more complex and exciting.
Did you need food?
Yes. He got one.
Wrap up with this phase when most players seem to have finished filling in the resources on their challenge boards. Proceed to the next step.
In Midtown, the city's center for adults with special needs was severely damaged.
Assuming that the situation has been calmed down, players must gather around to discuss their actions and efforts. Each neighborhood had to face their own dilemma, and it is important to delve into the process by which they reached the resolution of the problem. For this phase, ask the following questions for each neighborhood. As mentioned, options are limited during a disaster, so the players had to choose between the option A and B. The facilitator must first ask the players which option they ended up selecting, and then try to assess the reason behind their choice. Did they do what's right, or did they do what's beneficial for the city as a whole? Why did they decide to do so? There were 5 categories for each of 2 options that the neighborhoods had to fill in. For each category completed, offer 100 points. After the evaluation of each neighborhood's success, Find the sum of all the neighborhood's points and display it for everyone to show with their collective effort. This is to emphasize the idea that the resilience is about the city as a whole and not just about a single neighborhood. When done with the discussion, proceed to the next phase.
So what elements of the game felt like something that could happen in real life versus what elements felt not so realistic?
At last, in the adapt phase, the facilitator's role is to help players reflect on what they have done regarding disaster resilience and suggest possible improvement. For this activity, there are 5 recommended questions to facilitate the guided Q&A session for wrap-up. How did you reach consensus? Was the event anything like what you expected? What strategies did you use to communicate with others? What were the impacts of the surprise challenges? How does the game compare to reality?